Should you approach the SQE1 subject areas in a specific order? Does it make sense to do certain topics before others, or to look at some legal subjects in conjunction with others? Let's get into it. Hi, I'm Lindsay, a solicitor and longtime SQE blogger living in London, and today I wanted to talk about how you should think about approaching the legal topics in FLK1 and FLK2, and why it may be a good idea to review certain topics together, or certain topics one after the other. Now, you might be on an SQE1 course in which your provider sets a syllabus which dictates your revision, but if you're self-studying and you have complete freedom to decide, here's what I would suggest. First, don't just decide randomly. And second, don't even decide based on the way the legal topics are presented in the SRA's FLK1 and 2 assessment specs. Now, I bang on a lot about the FLK1 and 2 assessment specs, and I absolutely think everyone should download them and use them regularly to guide and inform SQE revision. I'll be making separate videos about this. However, I wouldn't suggest being so bound to the assessment specs that you review the SQE topics in the same order presented by the SRA, because there's a better way. As mentioned, you'll want to review similar or overlapping legal areas sequentially, and your substantive law before your procedural subjects. For example, I think we would all agree that it makes the most sense to review criminal liability before criminal law and practice, and to do these related subjects one after the other. Similarly, you'll probably want to review land law before property law and practice. Though, if you were to follow the FLK2 assessment spec in order, you'd be revising property law and practice as your first FLK2 subject, and land law as your fourth. This makes very little sense to me. Some of the other subject groupings are a little less obvious, but here's what I'd recommend. 1. Do wills and the administration of estates right after you revise business law and practice. The reason for this is tax. It's not just part of business in FLK1, it comes back as part of wills and estates in FLK2. In business law and practice, you'll be revising the taxation of businesses, including income tax obligations, capital gains, and inheritance tax to a certain degree. All three of those tax areas pop up again in the context of the administration of estates. Inheritance tax is obviously the big one, but you'll also have to know the personal representative's liability to income tax and capital gains, and the beneficiary's liability to capital gains tax on inherited assets. I'd suggest building on what you've learned about tax in business law by looking at the taxation of estates soon afterward. You can reinforce the learning and better understand how the different tax rules apply in different contexts when the information is fresh in your mind. 2. From wills and estates, I would move on to trusts. Trusts is a really important area, and trust principles are important in several SQE1 topics. First of these is wills and estates. Along with the tax overlap I just mentioned, there is also trusts overlap. Think, for example, about the powers and duties of personal representatives, many of which come from the 1925 and 2000 versions of the Trustee Act. You'll obviously be spending some more time with the Trustee Act in the trust law topic, where you're required to understand the duties, powers, and liability of trustees generally. 3. From trusts, I'd move on to land law, where you'll be seeing more concepts and statutes from trusts peppered throughout. For example, in this section of the assessment spec, helpfully titled Co-Ownership and Trusts. From land law, I'd obviously want to go next to property practice, as mentioned. Those are the big ones, and yes, they mostly involve FLK2 subjects. I'm not sure that there's quite as much overlap between the subjects in FLK1, although one could choose to do contract and torts together. I'd say this is optional though. I hope this helps, and as always, good luck, and I'm rooting for you.